Can that system happen, or can't it happen in this generation? You take a look back 100 years ago, we used to talk about this a lot on the program, that you couldn't track the buying and selling of everyone. They were trading beaver pelts for eggs and so on. Even 25 years ago, you couldn't track it with cash. You couldn't track it today because there's still too many transactions. You couldn't lock somebody out of the system because the fact of the matter is you could still get your hands on cash and conduct your business on the black market. Well, the age is coming when, for the first time in history, it will be possible to lock people out of the system. So the Mark of the Beast is an extremely important prophecy because it does show to us, it is one of the prophecies that shows us that we are indeed the very first generation that could potentially fulfill this prophecy. There are others, prophecies like this. We're going to talk about them more and more in upcoming programs. One of them is that, except those days be shortened, all flesh would be destroyed. You couldn't wipe out all flesh in a short period of time 100 years ago, but today with atom bombs, of course, you can do it. For the first time, this generation really fits. This gives us great responsibility with the prophecy of the Mark of the Beast as well, though, and I want to stress that. The only way that our credibility can be destroyed here, the only way that we can undermine ourselves is if we're going on with rumors and unsubstantiated facts in the name of sensationalism. This stuff is sensational enough as it is. If someone tells you the latest story on the Mark of the Beast, look at the documentation. Make sure the documentation is accurate, and this is what we are striving to do here. We don't want to make up where we may be at and quote sources like, you know, the National Enquirer or something. We want to go right to the source and find out exactly what is taking place, and that's what it's required to do so that we can then use this tool, because I think if you're a believer and you have sat and watched this video, you realize how powerful a presentation the Mark of the Beast is. And if you're an unbeliever, you have to be at least a little bit amazed at how accurate the Bible is.
You know, you mentioned the sensationalism, and we have talked before about the stories that used to go around about the Mark of the Beast, about the town in Sweden. The entire town had been forced to receive some kind of a mark, or they couldn't buy or sell. There were the stories about Social Security checks in the United States that were accidentally issued, that people turned them over and it said you can't cash this without a mark in your right hand or forehead. Nobody ever got a copy of one. Nobody ever photocopied one. I think when you're talking and when you're witnessing about the prophecy of the Mark of the Beast, steer clear of that stuff, because that is the stuff there's no proof. It's all stuff that's just made up. It's rumors, it's stories.
It's not accurate.
It's nonsense. And so what you do is you undermine yourself. There is plenty of documented stuff, documented information, and proof of this stuff that you don't have to reach for that stuff when you're talking to your friends.
Please think of what Paul is saying here. This videotape is a perfect example. You have seen interviews with the top guys who are sitting there demonstrating the equipment and explaining their vision to you. You can't get it more firsthand than that.
That's exactly right. One other thing I'd like to say just very quickly. Often when we're out at conferences and that kind of thing, and we're running into people and we start talking about the Mark of the Beast, a lot of people are coming up and saying, well, what do I do when they come up and try and make me take this mark? The important thing to know is that comes after the rapture, the people receiving the Mark of the Beast. This is not for the believer. This is for unbelievers who remain after the rapture.
And of course, the key thing to do here is to become a member of the Cashless Society. We just got there a little bit early, I think, somehow. And hey, send your money into your favorite Christian ministry and help them to do the outreach in the days ahead. But we say all that to say, we're not trying to sell you economic news here. We're just saying, here's the technology of what will take place during the tribulation period. The rapture does come first. So your goal is not to make your economic plan. Your goal is to get your heart right with the Lord now, because the rapture, that moment when the Lord catches his believers to be in his presence forever, catches us up in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, that's the next event on the calendar. That's the one you want to be preparing for. This is a perfect time to make another point as well. What is the Mark of the Beast? People say, you know, it's interesting, I bought your video on the Mark of the Beast with my Visa card, you know, and they think that there's a little bit of a mixed message there, but no. I'm not doing a plug for Visa or MasterCard here, but the fact of the matter is that isn't the Mark of the Beast. The Mark of the Beast is not an economic decision that people will make. This is not about economics. I want to take a look here at Revelation chapter 14, beginning at verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture. God is not going to pour out his wrath without mixture because someone chose the wrong credit card. He is not going to pour out his wrath because of an economic decision we have made. But you can see here that the mark of the beast is very clearly tied in with a worshiping of the Antichrist. Look, I'm going to close on this note. How in the world is the Antichrist going to get people to accept the number 666? Everybody in the world knows that that's an evil number. They've seen the Omen movies. They've seen, you know, every
rock and roll
thing.
albums.
Rock and roll albums. Everyone knows what 666 is. You'd think if the devil had any brain at all, he'd change it to 665. How is he going to get the world to take this number that everybody knows is the devil's number? Maybe it's a slight twisting of the tables. This is just a theory now. But perhaps he will rise up and say, we have been guilty of this outmoded thinking, this superstition for so long that there's some God out there, when we're just here to take care of ourselves, we're here to build our own kingdom, life is only what we make it. And it's this kind of religious narrowness, this kind of religious idealism that has stopped world peace, and now that these people have vanished out into the twilight zone here, the bad people are gone out of our way, just to show that we're not bound by this old thinking anymore. Let's use the number 666 just to show that we've come of age and we're not scared of some devil's mark. Seems to me to be the only logical way that it can come about. And if you read Revelation 13, the chapters we're talking about, what does it tell us about the rise of the Antichrist? A look more stout than his fellows. A mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, speaking great words against the Most High. He shall make war with the saints and he shall overcome them. This can't be the church. The church has to be gone in the rapture because the gates of hell cannot prevail against the church. But there'll be believers who realize that Jesus is the Messiah during the tribulation period. This is a religious decision. The mark of the beast ties into the world religion more than it does to a world economic system because it's all tied into who will you bow your knee before? What kingdom are you going to follow and choose? Doing a video like this is very exciting for us, that God has allowed us the opportunity in our ministry. We could never have dreamed that this was true. Patty and I were talking about this the other evening, that God would allow us to send camera crews to Washington to document this kind of thing, to interview various people from government agencies. The whole point is, all the documentation is laid out. What are you going to do with it? You know, you read in the book of Isaiah, it's such powerful passages where the Lord talks continually saying, I am God and there is none like me. I declare the things from the beginning to the things that are not yet done. I'll tell you the future. None of the other so-called gods in the world today can do that. They don't even attempt to do it. But God lays it out that we can know that God is in control. We can know that our hope is not in this world. We can know that we have a hope that is eternal and secure, and in this generation particularly, with all the confusing religious messages out there, God's prophetic word is coming into light right now. And if God can control the entire history and tell us 2,000 years ago, through the Apostle John, a guy sitting in a toga on an island somewhere, what we've just read about, what we've just seen this whole video about, that it would come to pass 2,000 years into the future, that is a message that God is sending to you, that he is in control. And if he can control the things of the world, then he can meet the needs you have in your life too. If you're a believer, it's time to get serious. Jesus is coming soon. If you're not a believer, you don't want to wait a second longer. You don't want to do it out of fear, but to serve this God who came and gave himself for you and told you what the future would hold, but then told you in face of all of these things, let not your heart be troubled. What a beautiful message. That's the message of the gospel, that you can have the peace of Christ in your heart. It's not a complicated process to ask the Lord to come into our heart. The only complicated process is you coming to terms in your heart and saying, yes, I'm ready to turn over the reins of this life to Christ. It's a decision only you can make. God bless you. And if the Lord doesn't come back first, we'll see you again next time.
Stay tuned for more This Week in Bible Prophecy Ministry Tools.
In our never-ending mission to make This Week in Bible Prophecy even better, we asked some of our faithful viewers for some advice.
I really enjoy the program. I wish that there were a way for me to get more information on some of the items presented, for us to go a little more in depth.
The program goes by so quickly. There's so much content, and it's coming at you just zoom, zoom, zoom. And there's only so much you can retain.
In the program, they give you so much, and there's just not time enough to absorb it all.
We tried to approach this problem a number of different ways.
This is really called the heart of the entire New Age movement, and as I've said before, it is this idea that we can build our own kingdom here on this earth.
Yes, could you tell me the price of another half hour of airtime, please?
Hello? Hello, hello?
Hi, last week we began a special series where we aired for you portions out of our...
Finally, we came up with an idea that worked. This week in Bible Prophecy magazine. If you're serious about Bible prophecy, then you won't want to be without this colorful new magazine. Every month, a brand new issue, always jam-packed with all the fascinating news from the world of Bible prophecy. It's like having a book on prophecy that never ends. Every time you finish one exciting chapter, a new one is delivered to your door, always fascinating and never out of date. From the Mark of the Beast to the New World Order, and from Ezekiel's visions to the Beast of Revelation. This colorful new magazine is sure to become must-reading for every serious student of Bible prophecy. And for a limited time, we have a very special offer. We've had hundreds of calls and letters from our viewers asking about the song that we play at the end of the program. The song is called The Altar, and that beautiful voice belongs to Valerie Holmes. Now you can have a professionally mastered audio cassette of Valerie's best loved songs with your subscription to This Week in Bible Prophecy magazine. And because we're so sure that you'll love This Week in Bible Prophecy magazine, we're backing it with a full, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. There is another gospel in the land. A gospel that openly proclaims its hatred of Christians. A gospel so deceptive that Jesus warned of its coming. A gospel so deadly, it can kill the soul. Introducing Deceiving and Being Deceived, exposing the New Age lie. In this powerful New Age video, Peter and Paul Lalonde take you on a fascinating and vital journey behind the scenes of America's fastest growing phenomenon, the New Age movement. You'll see how Bill Clinton is using his presidential powers to further the causes of globalism. You'll even see him deliberately misquote the Bible to support his humanistic ideas. You'll learn how New Age and occult techniques are being taught to our children in public school classrooms. You'll be amazed as you hear New Age leaders actually calling for the extermination of Christians. Never before has so much vital information on the New Age been packed into one video. But as always, Peter and Paul present it in a clear way that is easy for both Christians and unbelievers to follow and understand. Much of this video has been deemed too hot for TV, as it probes into the secret societies that are working behind the scenes to plan your future. You'll finally get a chance to look at the things the media just won't tell you.
Remember the outcry when it was found out that Nancy Reagan consulted an astrologer to set the president's schedule? Page 1 news. Now Hillary Clinton claims to be talking to the ghost of Eleanor Roosevelt, and nobody seems to care.
Don't wait another minute to find out the truth about Al Gore's call to turn away from Christianity and embrace the more important earth-based religions. A former vice presidential nominee's call for the elimination of Christianity. David Koresh and the media's treatment of this New Age imposter.
We talked about all the things that we wanted to do, and this video wasn't even in our plan to do, but more material kept coming and coming and coming, and we agreed we need to get this material out today.
As a special bonus to help you in your quest to win souls, we have included a handy pocket-sized reference card to carry with you everywhere you go. It contains all of the important scripture references that you will need when you are witnessing to unbelievers about the New Age movement.
To order any of the preceding This Week in Bible Prophecy products, simply have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-PROPHECY. If at any time you are not 100% satisfied, return the package for a full refund. To order, the number again is 1-800-PROPHECY. Or if you prefer to order by mail, send check or money order to This Week in Bible Prophecy, P.O. Box 5091, Burlington, Ontario, L7R4M2, or P.O. Box 1440, Niagara Falls, New York, 14302. And please make all checks payable to This Week in Bible Prophecy. For product price and information, call toll-free 1-800-PROPHECY.